Hello everybody, my name's Dion Swift. Welcome to my studio. Welcome to a new week in our new world. Every day at 1 o'clock during the week I have been doing videos or live broadcasts from my studio as a way to kind of inspire you, show you what I'm doing, to keep myself entertained, to provide a little bit of joy, hopefully, maybe, I don't know, but to keep in touch with people as much as anything as well, to provide myself with that part of the day or structure in the day to keep moving forward. Hello Maureen, really nice for you to join me. So what's happened over my weekend? It's been a busy weekend as ever. Thank you, I'm glad you mentioned the tunic, Jane. This is one of my finished makes from this weekend, silver linen, that I bought at the NEC maybe 2 years ago, not exactly sure, but it's been hanging around anyway. And I've needed to finish it off. The pattern is from Seamworks. It's called York, and I got it for free as a PDF download by joining Seamworks. And I've done a bit of a hack on it. It's actually, York is a top, but I've made it longer. It's got some side darts in here. I've made it longer. I put dinky sleeves on rather than the longer sleeves that it would normally have, and the collar, it doesn't normally have a collar, but I've made a bias cut strip that I can fold over, so I've kind of got this stand-up collar on it. So I'm really pleased with it. I feel it needs pockets, as do most things, so I might retrofit some pockets, welt pockets in there. But that's for another day. You know how you just want to wear things, just wanted to wear it, see how it felt. I did wash the fabric before I made it, but I feel it needs to really soften down a lot more, so I do want to wash it a few times to really soften it up. And I'm actually hoping, I mean, I've got it with leggings today, but I'm hoping the weather will warm up and I can wear it as a dress. That would be ideal. The other thing I have done sewing wise this weekend is inspired by the foundation quilting that I did for our virtual log cabin quilt, which an amazing number of you have contributed to. That's fantastic. I think we're on about 110 at the moment. The image maker gallery in my on my website, it can only deal with 100 images at a time, so the first kind of gallery block has filled up and I'm on to the second gallery block now, so that is fantastic. Janice has just sent me the instructions, the PDF of instructions translated into Japanese. Eva has sent me a Swedish version, so I will be adding those onto the website shortly. So if anybody else can translate into other languages, please let me know, and take that PDF from my website. It's downloadable, and please translate and get it back to me in PDF form, and I will upload it onto the website so that it can be enjoyed by everybody and we can make it a truly international project. So, inspired by the foundation quilting that I did for that particular project, and I really enjoyed doing that, and it made also a very secure fabric. I chopped up lots of fabric this weekend and stitched it back together in kind of very therapeutic way. It is just all of my bits of stuff that were in the studio, so it's a real mixed bag, and I cut everything into strips and strip pieced it together, and then I have foundation quilted it onto this piece of grey. I don't know if you can see the lines, vertical lines in the background. And this has given me I'll hold it up. Big piece of fabric, and it will be making a wraparound skirt. One of the other occasions when I made a community quilt was with the village in Tornoreccio in Italy, in Abruzzo, and there were so many pieces donated slightly after the event. One particular lady, Gemma, had made so much. She made 52 log cabins in total, and she put in so much effort. I had to make something with the extras that she made, and I made a skirt that I wore for the party and the when we gave the quilt to the commune, and when we did that presentation. So I had a piece of the quilt that I could wear, and then I made a scarf for my friend Hilary, who could also wear part of the contribution as well. So it seems like quite a thing that I should make a skirt or an item of clothing from quilting that's connected with a current quilt project. So in here I do have pieces of fabric from my stash that came from Maggie and Bob at the African Fabric Store, and I have pieces that also came from my time working with military wives, and we also made a community quilt together as well. So it kind of seems quite apt that those pieces have found their way into this, and I'm nearly finished now, so I will be able to make this skirt up and hopefully wear it shortly. Like I say, it's kind of got a bit of everything in there, so I'm thinking quite hard about how I can kind of tie it together and coordinate it as best I can. But more than it being a fashion item, it's more about a statement and a connection with the work that I'm doing in the community that I'm working with, you lot in particular. So that was an afternoon spent in the studio on Saturday. I think I needed to spend Saturday afternoon in the studio because we were all at one another's throat for a little while there on Saturday. I think, was it yesterday? I can't remember. There wasn't a lot left in the fridge, and I had burnt dinner because I was on the computer uploading virtual quilt blocks. So yeah, we were like that a little bit. So I disappeared into the studio. While I was sewing though, I kind of thought I could maybe be doing something. Thank you, glad you all like the tunic. It is my silver lining in the week. But while I was sewing, and the sewing becomes therapeutic. You're cutting bits up, you're stitching them back together, you're getting into a little rhythm, and you see pieces building up to become something bigger. Every little section contributes to the whole, and it got me thinking that I should be sewing for something maybe a bit more purposeful at the moment. So I spent some time on Facebook and on the internet finding somebody locally who was coordinating the sewing of scrubs and other items that the NHS need at the moment. So as of this afternoon, I start sewing hats and bags, and then in the next couple of days, scrubs to help relieve some of the pressure on the NHS. I can only make a few myself, but if everybody makes a few, then everyone will have enough. There is a lady in our village who has been asking for donations of fabric or money or both, and she's collected together some money to buy the fabric that we need for making scrubs. If anybody out there who's watching this now would like to donate more money to that, you can get in touch with me and I will make sure that happens. Maybe you want to get involved and do some sewing yourself. Don't get in touch with me. I'm trying not to coordinate this. I'm just trying to sew. What you can do is find For the Love of Scrubs on Facebook, and that is a national group. In there are the coordinators and the information to find what's going on in your particular region. So rather than everything going to one big point, say in London or the Midlands, every region has its own little base. I'm doing something even more local so that the stuff that I'm making here in Holmfirth will stay within Holmfirth and Huddersfield, so it doesn't need to travel around too much. It's going to make the process a lot quicker and get everything where it needs to be as quickly as possible. So if you've got a machine and you feel that you can do this, you don't need to be a seamstress. You need to follow a basic pattern. It might just be for simple bags and hats. You don't need an overlocker for that. Then please have a look and see what you can do. If you don't feel that you can do that, you might want to consider donating some money so that we can buy more fabric and make that happen. If you live locally to me and you don't want to sew and you've got fabric that you'd like to donate, then please get in touch with me and I will arrange for collection. So that's Holmfirth. I'm not going beyond, I'm not going into Huddersfield if I can help it. So if you're really close to me, I will arrange some type of pickup. Okay. So that's going to be my next couple of weeks, sewing, kind of batch sewing and put myself into mass production. But as well as that, I have started 2 workshops this morning. I've been really efficient so far today. I have been really on it. Jackie is using cotton pillowcases for scrubs bags. That's a good idea. It's ideal. It needs to be fabric that can be washed up to 60 degrees, well, at 60 degrees, so that when everything gets the scrubs go in the wash bags and then straight in the wash machine at 60 degrees. So yes, really efficient so far this week, and I have started 2 workshops. The embroidery online and drawing for textiles online have both kicked off this morning. If you are interested and you feel like you maybe missed the boat, it's not a problem. You can join still this week and I will catch you up really quickly. It's no biggie. With those particular workshops in mind, and with the fact that I have huge amounts of sewing ahead of me, I thought that my machines needed a little bit of an overhaul, and that might be something that would be useful for you to see. Often when people come on workshops with me, face-to-face workshops, and maybe we're not at Genome. Usually I do a lot of my workshops in the UK at Genome's HQ, which is in Stockport. It's about 50 minutes from me, and all the machines there are cleaned after every workshop, and they're always tickety-boo, and if they're not for any reason, we just grab another one out the back of the storeroom. It's fantastic. But sometimes if I'm running a workshop or a group or a guild and people are bringing their own sewing machines, we have lots of different sewing machines, and some of them maybe haven't been serviced quite as regularly as maybe they should. So as a minimum, a machine should get serviced each year by somebody who knows what they're doing. But you can kind of string that out a little bit longer if you look after your machine really well. And it's very simple to clean it out. Really, you should clean out your sewing machine every time you've used it. You should really be changing the sewing machine needle after 8 hours of sewing. I often do it a little bit more regularly when I'm doing very heavy machine embroidery, because it's getting more pounding. That needle's getting more work than a regular, if I was just doing regular dressmaking. So what I thought I'd do is just take apart, try and do it one-handed while I'm holding my phone, and just take apart a few of the bits in my machine so that you can see what's inside. And I just want to quickly direct you as to what you should be doing. And you should be doing this, let me say once a week. Okay, if you sew regularly, you should be cleaning your machine out minimum once a week. Because I do a lot of work with wool, there's much more fibre involved, and so all the little bits get inside the machine, and I highly recommend you clean them out more often. So let me just scoot over here and twizzle this round. Let's see, how can I twizzle that round? Okay, there we go. Look, weather's nice today. Well, April shower-ish. So here's one of the machines. Now this one, you've got, this is my Janome Horizon, the biggie, and this probably is the one that I'm going to use for all my sewing this week. Now this plate here, well actually let's take this foot off first. I did unscrew this earlier on. Swap hands. Take the foot off, get that out of the way, and it'll fall off. Now inside there the fluff kind of collects. Taking that bit off. This whole plate on mine comes off here like so. Now I did clean this out the other day, so anything that you can see here is from the last maybe 3 or 4 days. So all this stuff in here, you see, all that is going to affect how your machine moves the fabric through. This bit can come out. Can you see how much dust is around here? The worst thing you can do at this point is to blow that dust out. You want to ease it out, catch it with a little brush, but then also I'm not going to put a hoover on, but I have a hoover here. Oops, sorry, a bit wobbly. So it's got a dinky nozzle on the end. I think I got this in somewhere like Lidl, a cheap shop, and it attaches the other end. Look, the other end will attach to my hoover nozzle, and it means that I can hoover out the dust in here rather than letting these big bits of dust and fluff here fall further into the machine mechanism. I also tend to, rather than using one of these brushes that came with the machine, can't always get into all the nooks and crannies, I tend to use a paintbrush, and that allows me to get into corners and loosen fluff and catch it on the end of the brush. So all of this needs cleaning out. Then here's a little tip. In here there's a piece of felt. It's meant to be there. Some people think that in their cleaning is so vigorous they take this bit of felt out. Actually, you need to put a little bit of oil on that because it helps with the lubrication of the movement of this part of the mechanism. Anywhere where there's metal moving against metal is going to need a little bit of oil. So even though it is recommended that you don't oil machines, plastic machines, kind of computerized machines like these, I do tend to. Also, the other area where gone a bit wobbly, where you need to, no, he's gone very wobbly. I've got this new gizmo called a gimbal, which is meant to stop the camera shaking so much, but it does go a bit crazy. Okay, can you see round here the needle post? Here you get an awful lot of fluff that goes upwards. So it's not just about fluff going downwards, the fluff goes upwards, and you need to clean this off here and hoover as you go. So I don't want to disturb any more fluff until I put my hoover on. Okay, so inside here as well, I would get my hoover in there and gather up any fluff that you find. And anywhere where you can see, so here look particularly, where the post, the needle post, is moving through this joint here where there's metal against metal, I'd give it a little tiny dab of oil just to help smooth it through. Okay, if ever you come on a workshop with me and you're bringing your own machine, make sure you do all of this before you come, because I can hear it. I can hear when it's dirty inside and it makes a horrible hammering noise. And as soon as we've cleaned it out and given it some oil, kind of fed it with oil, only a little bit, you will find that the machine loves you all the more. Now this one here, move over to this. I've taken bits off this one. So this is my bigger Janome. This one needs a bit more unscrewing because it is just a bit more robust. So a few little screws that I've already unscrewed. Now this one is the one that I use for a lot of free machine embroidery. So this one gets a hammering with lots of woolen yarn, not woolen yarns, but pick that up later. Shows you can't really do it one-handed. I use a lot of woolen fabrics with this machine. I'm just going to put this down a second. Hang on there. I'm going to grab this. Don't know if you can see what I'm doing. I'm just going to have to take off another section. So I did clean this machine out maybe 3 or 4 days ago as well. I've just taken the foot off. Can you see how filthy it is? My goodness, I can't believe I'm showing you this. Look at all this here. This is all the fibres of wool that are coming from the fabric. Probably not lint from my threads, but from the woolen fabric that I tend to use. So this all needs cleaning, and inside here as well. Let me take this little bit off. Let's take that out of the way. Clunk, clank. And then you can get to see inside. It's a bit dark in there, so it's difficult to see. This also needs to come out. Spool case. And now in this machine here, it has a little felt wick. Can you see that? Down here. And that's the oiling point for a lot of this mechanism. It just needs a little bit of oil on there. But I also tend to put a little dribble of oil, tiny spot of oil on the needle post higher up here as well. And then let it sit overnight to let it kind of sink down into the machine. But all this area in here is going to need brushing and hoovering out. And definitely don't blow that dust back into the machine. What I also like to do is get the brush down here, right down the side, and pick up any dust that's down there too. I know you've all cleaned your fridges, you've all cleaned your cupboards. Everything is tickety-boo in your house. Well, it's not in mine. I did clean the fridge out yesterday before the food delivery came, but I haven't really cleaned cupboards yet. I've had far too much sewing to do. But I would encourage you to now clean your sewing machines out so that they are pristine, and they will thank you for it. But please put a hoover in there. Dismantle as much as you possibly can. So sometimes I will put this machine upside down and then I can take off this lower section, and that allows me to access all of the mechanism underneath and inside here, and just see that it's working really well, or just see that it's clean. And it does make a massive difference to the performance of your machine. So that's my little task for you today, or for the week maybe, to get your machine running really smoothly by giving it a bit of TLC and a bit of attention, so that it's kind of looking beautiful, sounding beautiful. It's the sound for me more than anything that's just hugely important. Once you've cleaned the machine and you've given it some oil, then you will find that it will thank you for it. It will run smoother, and particularly if you get a lot of broken threads from the bobbin, in the bobbin, that tends to be just dirt in the underside of your machine. So that's your fault. It's your fault if you haven't cleaned it out. So save yourself some money servicing and having your machine repaired by looking after it yourself. So please clean your machine and then sew. So for the virtual quilt project, you can make more than one block. So for the NHS, if you're in the UK, or whichever health service you're aligned to. So for one of my workshops, join one of my workshops and sew for that. Sew for yourself, make clothes. So, and at the same time, teach a family member how to sew and bring them into our little sewing world. But whatever you do, please look after the sewing machine that you use. Right, okay, that's me for today. Don't know what I'm talking about tomorrow. I'll come up with something, you know I will. Maybe well, I'm not going to commit myself. Don't know what it's going to be. But there you go, clean your machine. I will see you at 1 o'clock tomorrow. Please share this video. One of the things that I ask is that this is an exchange. I give you some information, I give you some inspiration, and in exchange for that, you share so that your friends can see a little bit more too, and maybe they follow me along the way as well. So, oh, wind's picked up. There you go. Share. See you tomorrow, 1 o'clock. Bye bye.